Hello, everybody. This is Scott Hutzbeth with Agent Mastermind. Welcome to the call. I'm so excited to be with you guys. Have an awesome class planned for you guys with Nancy Ray Evans. And you can see on the screen right there. Actually, let me make sure I share my screen. All right, showing my screen. Embracingmoney.com is her website. She's got some awesome tidbits about money for us today. She's been on with us before, so I'm super excited to have her back. And Nancy, what do you got for us, my friend? I heard we're going to get some serious value about money today. So what do you got for us?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, well, let's just dive right into this. I thought maybe we'd start about how I got into this business, but you know what? Let's go ahead and dive right in.
Okay, sounds good. No, I'd love to hear how you got in. A little bit about you would be great.
Do you want me to start with that?
Absolutely.
So, as I told you before, Scott, I actually am an ex-loan officer. I was in the mortgage industry for just under 10 years, okay? And before that, I was helping businesses manage their cash flow, mostly small businesses, medical practices, et cetera. So when I moved into the mortgage industry, for me, it was really like a match made in heaven because I love puzzles, and especially financial ones. And of course, you know, that's what it takes to make a loan work, right? So the interesting thing is that while I was a mortgage coach, I was making the most money that I'd ever made up until that point. There was still one financial puzzle that I just couldn't figure out. And that was how to deal with the fluctuating income that comes with working straight commission.
Okay.
So while I was making a great income, it always felt like I was making less because, you know, one month you'd have a great check, and then the next month I'd get a small check. And, you know, of course, there were times when I didn't get a check at all because maybe the closings didn't happen that month.
Absolutely.
So it felt like I was just trying to play catch up. And maybe some of your agents can relate to that.
It's the old roller coaster analogy, good month, bad month, and it doesn't feel like you're always chasing your tail one month to try and close the business. The next month you're trying to get more business. So it's a vicious cycle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you never feel like you're really in control of what's going on, right?
And of course the stressful, you know, it's stressful both months, just different stress, right? You have money one month and one month you don't. So it's just different stress. So you got to learn to manage your stress, of course, but.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it was right about the time that I got out of the mortgage industry, which for me was back in 2007, towards the end of 2007 when all hell was breaking loose and whatnot, which I believe is actually right before you got into it. And I was introduced to my money mentor, my first money mentor, because she was writing a book with one of my friends and colleagues in New York. And once I heard about her program, I just knew instantly that this was the solution that I'd been looking for, not only for myself personally, but for my mortgage clients too, because I'd seen them get themselves into the same financial pickle over and over again. You know, that was back when home values were rising and people were actually using their homes like ATM machines, right, to solve their financial problems.
Absolutely.
Which, of course, just took them deeper and deeper. Anyway, so I knew that this was what I was looking for. And I decided not only to enroll as a student, or as a client, I should say, but also a student, so that I could now share this information with others who might need it. And being in the mortgage industry, I was well aware that many people need this type of education, service, process, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
It's still relatively unknown that money coaching, especially my type of money coaching, is even available, despite the fact that it's been around for almost 30 years.
Got it.
So what I learned has completely changed my life and the lives of many of my clients, my students. So now I'm teaching others how they can experience financial stability and confidence around money so that they can make healthy and empowered decisions no matter if their income is fluctuating or if it's steady, if it's going up. Even if it's going down, they can still feel like they're in control of their situation. That's how powerful it is.
All right.
All right. So let me first begin by giving you an analogy of money coaching. Sometimes this is a little bit easier than hearing the word. So For the majority of us humans, our relationship and tendencies in regard to money is very similar to driving down a dark road. It's full of potholes, and your headlights aren't working. So through money coaching, you'll gain the ability to actually see those potholes before you can feel them. You'll get your headlights working so that you can avoid the potholes, or even better, choose a different road entirely. Okay?
Love it.
Sound good?
Sounds great. Great analogy.
Wonderful. So what is this, what I call behavioral money coaching, which this is the type of coaching that I do. Actually, let me back up one step. So most people have not heard of money coaching before, or if they have, it's a very different type of money coaching. And what most people refer to as money coaching is they're actually more along the lines of a marketing coach or even a law of attraction coach. Okay, so what I do is very different. Mine is behavioral money coaching, which is an integration of neuroscience, neuroeconomics, behavioral finance, and behavioral and cognitive psychology. And it actually bridges the gap between financial services industry and the field of psychology. Scott, I've even had clients tell me that they've learned more about themselves during our 4 weeks of working together than they ever did through years of therapy.
No kidding.
It goes that deep as far as self-awareness. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it also helps people identify and change what are their largely unconscious money patterns and behaviors, because most of our patterns and behaviors, 95% of them are below our level of consciousness. So we're only making about 5% of our decisions and our behaviors through rational thought.
Wow, okay.
So why is this important? Let's go on to the next slide there. Well, money impacts every area of our lives, whether it's directly or indirectly. I mean, if you think about it, can you come up with any area of your life that is not somehow influenced by money, Scott?
Oh, man. Not influenced by money. Well, your health, I don't believe, is influenced by money.
Could be.
Like your weight,
Unless...
that's a tough question. I'm not usually stumped by questions, but you actually stumped me by that. Yeah.
That's okay. That's fine. Yeah. It's just to get you thinking. And in fact, the issue of health is going to come up here briefly in a little bit. So,
okay.
Yeah. So while financial literacy and education is very helpful, or it can be helpful, it really doesn't address the underlying issues. Okay. Because you can't solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that created it. And that's one of my favorite quotes from Albert Einstein.
Love it.
And here again, it's important for people to know that what most people label as a money problem, whether it's lack of savings or maybe it's a lot of credit card debt, those are actually symptoms. It's not the problem itself. And the cause of the problem is actually much deeper than that. But sadly, most people focus on reducing or eliminating the symptoms, which is similar to putting a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. So the problems recur again and can oftentimes show up worse the second time around. Okay.
It's funny that, that after answering that on a knee-jerk reaction, now that I think about it, I had a second to think about it, health is probably mostly related to money, because if you don't have it, you're stressed. If you, which causes poor decisions on every aspect of your life, or more so because it's mentally challenging. So that was probably a bad answer.
No, that's fine. That was just your first response, but now that you had some time to think about it, you are right on target there, Scott. Right on target. And one more reason that why it's important. Let's not forget that money is often one of the top reasons listed for divorce.
Absolutely.
And I believe it's not so much money per se, or amount of money, or even how it's spent or not spent or shared or whatever. I think it's more about an inability to talk comfortably about money. I mean, money is an incredibly intimate subject, and yet most couples have no framework in place for discussing delicate money issues. And that is something that money coaching can provide. So let's see, so how is it conducted? How does it work? So it's conducted through a step-by-step process that reveals clients' core money patterns. And it helps them achieve new levels of awareness. And from that awareness, they can make positive personal and financial changes. So that's just a quick overview of money coaches. So let's continue with a few key facts about money, 3 to be exact. So key fact number 1, money is still a largely taboo subject. You know, this is why many people are reluctant to talk about it openly. I mean, I remember one woman in particular when I was in the loan officer, she had gone through a very messy divorce, and then her ex-husband stopped paying the mortgage on the house that they bought together. Well, you can imagine what that did to their credit, to her credit, and now she was trying to buy on her own for the first time. Mm. Well, she shared with me one day, she said, you know what, Nancy, this whole mortgage process, it feels like I'm running through the streets naked. It's that vulnerable.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, when we're in this industry for so long, sometimes we forget how difficult it actually is for people to talk about money because it's just part of our everyday life, at least, you know, this certain levels of it. So,
you know, Joy brings up a good, or excuse me, Debbie brings up a good point. She says Joy is not influenced by money, and what I've learned is if you're unhappy without money, money is not going to make you happy. You know what I mean?
So true.
So, or
so
if you're, yeah. So if you're just an unhappy person, period, it doesn't help, is what I've learned.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another I completely agree with that.
Yolanda is commenting, and I appreciate the comments here. Yolanda says, I agree stress causes illness, which I 100% agree with. I am speaking from experience. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, as far as, you know, another little tidbit here on the taboo part, you know, people would rather talk about their sex life with a stranger than discuss their money issues, their personal money matters. Yeah. It's a strange world we live in. So key fact number 2, most people receive little, if any, formal training or financial education. And this comes along then with feelings of shame and self-doubt, a sense of powerlessness, low financial self-esteem. And the interesting thing about that low financial self-esteem is you can have success in a wide range of areas in your life and still experience low financial self-esteem.
True.
Also, you know, hopelessness, despair, even depression. I mean, how many stories have we heard about folks who, you know, because of a financial setback, they've actually attempted suicide. You know, they just can't deal with it. So, and another thing.
Do you define, or do you find with your students or people you coach that it's not do you get down to a bottom where it's not really necessarily about the money when it comes right down to it?
Mm-hmm.
And what I see is maybe, and I don't know, and I'm just throwing stuff out there, but is it because like the keeping up with the Jones type thing? I can't do this, or I'm not that, or I'm not this, but they don't even know who they really are or what really truly makes them happy, but they're comparing their lives and what they can and can't do by other people?
That is always a part of it, yes, absolutely. Yeah. And beliefs that they have about what they can and cannot do. And where does that stem from? Whose voice is that in their head that they can or cannot do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because those are stories that we tell ourselves.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. One thing I want to share here, Scott, is that nearly all of my clients tell me that they feel like everyone else has this money thing figured out except for them.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My, you know, what's funny, I've always told my wife this. I've said, my philosophy is I will just make more no matter what the situation.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a bad attitude or old tapes or whatever, but I don't know. That's my philosophy, you know?
Yeah, and it's not a bad philosophy. That's that's part of what drives you. That's part of what we're going to be getting to is your inner money dynamic. That your solution, and maybe it's not even a problem, that you feel like you're addressing when you say, I want, I'll just make more. But that is an inner money dynamic that some people have and some people don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that particular one can be both beneficial and it can also be challenging, depending on the circumstances, right?
Exactly. Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So key fact number 3, our early childhood experiences directly affect the way our brain is hardwired to react relative to our daily money decisions and behaviors. And we'll learn why that is in just a minute. But first, Scott, here's a question for the group. Let's take a quick poll.
Okay.
And move on to the next slide. So the question is, would you allow an 8-year-old to make your financial decisions for you? Let's see what they say.
Let's see what they say on there. No, no, nope, 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 no, no, no. Everybody said no.
Of course, right? Of course not. And yet, that is essentially what goes on in our brains in terms of money. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
Most of our patterns, on to the next slide, most of our patterns, financial and otherwise, were created in the brain between the ages of 2 and 12, which is when the majority of our brain development occurs. So think about that. Before you've held your first job or chosen a career, your money patterns were already mostly formed.
Crazy. At the age of 12.
Yeah, right?
All right.
And so here's how that works on the next slide.
Okay.
So neurons that fire together wire together. And this results in automatic responses. This is what creates those unconscious behaviors. Because basically there's no time for your rational brain to interrupt these responses. They've become so hardwired in your brain as it's forming. And then this hardwiring profoundly affects our thoughts, our emotions, our beliefs, and our behaviors with respect to money. So we're learning this from our families and communities, and mostly through unspoken messages. It's rare that we actually hear them, but our brains, when we're young, they're like little sponges. And they are working like gangbusters, trying to make sense of everything in their surroundings while not having a language for it. And then again, most adults don't really have a language for money either, but particularly children don't.
Sure.
Right. So on to the next slide. Relative to money in the brain, we're often operating from the primitive brain, which is largely instinctive. And the main job of our primitive brain is survival and safety. That's what it's there for. It keeps us alive. Okay? And it's doing a great job because we're still here.
Yeah.
And so this is why our financial behaviors are often more emotional and reactive rather than rational and logical.
So let me ask you this. So the subconscious doesn't know right from wrong. We all know that. That's a fact.
Correct.
So when we always live thinking one thing but trying to get another, it's almost like physically impossible. If I think I'll never get there, or I'm broke, or I can't, or if we change that thought pattern to I have when I really don't, but I have, I think, we teach I coach people to think differently, think that I already have, I'm already closing 5 loans a month. I'm already closing 10 loans a month. Think like a person that's already doing it, because you do different things to make that happen. You with me? Sounds weird, but it really works.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's not just thinking like that person. It's like stepping into their body and feeling what that's like. Like how do they hold their body? How are they interacting with people? And actually feeling it happen, not just thinking it, but feeling it as though they've already experienced it.
Yep.
Yep, and that's what allows them to shift those behaviors. Yes, very powerful.
Yep. Jennifer saying, I find it different nowadays with the newer generation. They think way differently than I do. Sometimes when I'm trying to explain certain things to them, they don't understand. I just had a situation last night of writing an offer. So I think they don't care as much about the detail stuff as most people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just weird. They have different mindsets, different thoughts, different feelings, and it's it's the new generation.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So if you want to go ahead and advance the slide there,
Yep.
Scott, unless there are more questions.
Nope.
Okay. So money, fear in the brain. So when we feel fearful or anxious relative to money in the present, it's usually due to some probably long forgotten hardwired fault line that originated in our childhood. Okay. And fear is simply the physiological response to a perceived threat or danger to our safety. So again, it's, our primitive brain, it wants us to survive, right? So, but this fear, this primitive brain, when it's activated, which is most of the time when it comes to money, it's why it's difficult to change our financial behaviors, because change equals risk, which means danger, danger, even when that change is for the better. It doesn't know any different. It's different, which means it's risky, which means it's dangerous for us. Yeah. So hence, it can feel dangerous for your primitive brain to be out of debt if you've been living under the stress of debt for a long time. And this is one of the reasons that people who get out of debt often end up right back in it after a short time, because their brain, their primitive brain feels like no debt is actually unsafe because it's a new or different experience. Huh. And then similarly, your brain can feel like its safety is threatened if now there's excess money, if that's unusual for you. Unbeknownst to you or unconsciously, your brain is looking for ways to get rid of money or reduce it to a safer amount. Yes. I'm sure you've all heard stories of, lottery winners going bankrupt, or, professional athletes and artists too. It's yes. because their brain is not used to that excess money. And yep. so it's figuring out ways to make it more comfortable by getting rid of it. Yep.
All right. What'd that say?
So behavioral money coaching utilizes a step-by-step process so that people can identify and understand their unique inner money dynamics. And we all have them. Some are positive and some are more challenging. So let's talk about those. What are some examples of these dynamics or characteristics, and how do they manifest? So signs and symptoms of some of the challenging ones, avoidance, whether it's avoidance of bills, avoidance of the subject of money, avoidance of making money, could be any varieties of avoidance there. Anxiety and stress, again, whether that's about earning it or having it or wanting to have it or not enough, which also comes up a little bit later. It's the inability to plan or implement plans. Maybe it means you're struggling to create a budget or to stick to a budget or to actually plan for retirement or other financial goals. It could result in financial setbacks and even self-sabotage. Relationship stress, we talked about that. And it could be all kinds of, not just personal relationship stress, but stress in relationships at work as well. Or with your own clients. And here we go, that health or weight issues. When we're stressed, it's our cortisol, that stress hormone kicks in, which can wreak havoc on your health and your weight. Mm-hmm. And it's also really interesting how people that, I don't know if there's actually been any studies on this or if this is more through just my self-awareness, my own client pool, shall we say, but oftentimes people that have weight issues often have money issues as well.
Huh, crazy.
And vice versa.
Yep.
And vice versa. Yep.
What I hear a lot the fear of success, and success has many different forms. Success in your marriage, success in with money, success in your business, success with your children, like success. So when I talk about it a lot, I think some people fear it because it's uncomfortable. One of the things I love hearing, but it's most uncomfortable, is when somebody gets to a point where they have grown their business, doubled their business, tripled their business, while working less time. They're very uncomfortable, and I'm talking from experience. When I started letting go of all the stuff that I thought I had to do, which freed up time for me, and I stopped creating more stuff because I thought I had to, and started growing my business, like crazy growing, it was very uncomfortable with the free time that I had. Because I'd never, we grow up in a society that says punch a clock, and if you don't do it, if you don't do it, it's not going to get done right. And also, if you want more money or more success, you have to work your ass off. And so I think we grow up with all these terrible things that are really hard to unwind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And having a coach just for that stuff, the fear of success is real in many different forms because that's how we grew up, It's supposed to be hard to do this. It's supposed to be hard. You're supposed to work 12 hours a day. You're supposed to, if you want a ton of money, you got to work your ass off. You got to work 24/7, which is not true, but that's how we grow up. And that becomes you are who you hang around, or you are who your mentors were growing up. But, and some are our parents. Our parents didn't know what they didn't know. They only knew what they knew to teach us. So it's very frustrating in that respect when I'm trying to help somebody go, it's okay to be done at noon and have your business running on autopilot,
Yeah. Yeah. One of the most influential books I read in regard to that was Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek.
Yeah, I love that book.
Yeah. You're right. You don't have to work, 60 or 80 or 100 hours a week to earn, more money than you ever thought possible.
I know.
Yep.
Well, the other one I love that kind of relates, but it doesn't, is Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. Either you're selling yourself on what you should be doing, or you're being sold on what you should be doing. You're either selling or being sold every single second of every day. I got to get up. I got to go to the gym. Either you sell yourself or you're being, or somebody said, whatever. So that's another tough one to deal with.
Yeah.
But it's a great book.
Yeah. And that whole philosophy, whatever you're applying it to, is that if it's worth it, it's got to be hard work.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Physically hard, mentally hard. I know, which is crazy. It's not true.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, not just related to work, but like you said, whether it's your health or a relationship, whatever, we seem to have that's been drilled into us. And I don't know if I don't believe the younger generation necessarily has that anymore, but I know certainly my generation still has that. Yeah.
Yep, for sure. All right.
So let's move on to some of the more positive ones. Oops, actually, wait, I didn't cover this one, did I? The middle one, second challenging one here with fluctuating. So this can also show up as fluctuating or insufficient income. Wall Street moodiness. Inga, this one you might want to pay attention to. So I had a gentleman I had a gentleman attend one of my workshops last year, and he admitted that his having a good day or a bad day was completely determined by what happened in the markets and to his portfolio. I mean, can you imagine living like that?
20 years. No. I've lived with it for 20 years. My husband is a financial advisor. And trust me, it's absolutely true. That market, whatever happened, was what indicated how the mood was for the day.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. So you just confirmed that that's a lot more common than people might think. I would imagine, particularly in that industry.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yep. Yep. So other symptoms and signs, maybe you're keeping financial secrets from your family. Maybe it's from your spouse, maybe from your parents, maybe from your children, but just those financial secrets. Maybe it's about debt or, mistakes that you've made that you don't want to own up to, whatever it might be. The sense of never working, or never, excuse me, always having to work, or never having enough, or feel like you've worked enough. We kind of touched on that a little bit. We mentioned the low financial self-esteem before. It can show up as uncomfortable debt levels. Some people have varying degrees of comfort when it comes to how much debt they're comfortable carrying.
I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy that we, as most of the people, don't feel they're worthy of a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, here's the crazy part about like us, everybody on this call, and we have there's if you work an hourly wage, you can't go from 80,000 a year to 160,000 a year. You can't do it. You can't work that many hours. But we, as commission sales, have the opportunity to hit whatever number you want to hit, like any number. Mm-hmm. I mean, Grant Cardone, he's a real estate investor. He's worth 250 million, 450 million. I don't know what it is. The owner of the Miami Dolphins, I know, was a real estate tycoon. He made his money in real estate. He's a billionaire. So you can't tell me that if it's money that you're after, again, if you're unhappy, money's not going to make you happy. But we have a business that we can literally accomplish any number that we want if we surround ourselves with the right people. We work hard and believe that we are worthy of it. I think that's one of the biggest ones. The second to last bullet point, that low financial self-esteem. Like, we don't feel that we're worthy of all this. So. And I'm just telling you, everybody on this call, that you are worthy of anything that you want to accomplish. And the best part is you are capable of hitting any number that you want to hit. So that's why we do these classes, to try and help you realize that one more deal a week, one more deal a day. Like, if you one deal, we focus on one deal a day, which is 5 days a week. That's 5, 10, 15, 25. Like that's a lot of business. Mm-hmm. Think about that. And so I don't want to take away from your show here, but it's exciting to know that we're if we were on an hourly wage call, this wouldn't be a conversation, because we can't work 40 more hours this week because I've already put it. You know what I mean? I just don't want to sleep. I need sleep, and so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you want a life outside of work too.
Correct.
Yeah. Are you working to live, or are you living to work?
There you go.
Right. Yeah. So let's move on to some of the positive signs and symptoms of these inner money dynamics. So that's the next slide there.
Okay.
And so positive ones are generous. You're generous with money and in your tendencies. You're confident with money and your ability to make money, earn money. You're disciplined in your approach to money. You're compassionate, optimistic, and discerning, these are all some of the positive signs. Now, the interesting thing on the next slide there is that you can have both challenging and positive money characteristics that are running the show at various times, and sometimes even at the same time, or I should say attempting to run the show at the same time there. So if you've got both positive and challenging characteristics that are running the show at a given time, essentially it's like driving your money car with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. So it's all about learning which one is on the brake and getting your foot off of that pedal so that your positive ones can take over. So the money coaching process, this on the next slide, leads to self-understanding, because we can't master something that we can't see, experience, or comprehend. So self-understanding and awareness is the key to self-mastery, especially in terms of money, but in reality, in anything, and until we understand what's really going on. Next slide there, awareness is the key to change of all types. Because without awareness, we're virtually powerless. We can't change anything in our lives, in particularly when we're talking about the subject of money, which is such a loaded deck emotionally.
You know what I find? almost, in fact, 100% of the time when I talk to my clients is, and I'm sure you find this too, they don't have a why or where they want to get to. Let me explain that. So I don't care what age you are. Most people get up to, like, they get up in the morning and they go to work. They don't have a reason or a goal or a map of what they want to see at the end of their road or journey or life or at what age. So they don't have a number. They don't have a number of where they, like, say, for example, I'm 46 and at 60, I want to have this much and I want to be able to do this and do that and do this and do that. I think I've shared with you guys this before. So when I say that, I know exactly where I want to be at the age of 60. Here's the cool part about doing this exercise is once you know at this age, I want to be able to be done. I didn't say be done because I don't know if I'll ever be done because I love what I do, but be able to, like, check out for a month and nothing bad's going to happen. And I could literally call it quits that day. Here's the cool part. I'm going to hit that number way sooner than 60 because I know exactly what it is and I know exactly what to do to get there and I know exactly how many lives I got to change and how many people I got to help. I think that we don't relate money to our future end. You know what I mean? Like what is it? Why am I doing what I'm doing and how much do I need to do to get there? And then I work backwards. So I teach people to work backwards on because here's the cool part about this exercise. You might be working too hard or you might be not really working hard enough. Right?
Yeah.
Because if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want to close $100 million in production. I'm like, all right, cool. That's easy. It's this. Okay, what's your average loan size? Divided by this. Okay, look, cool. All right, here's what you got to do each month. But then I go, so let me ask you a question. What can you do at 100 that you can't do at 90 million a year? And then I just keep going down. Like, what is the real reason you want to do 100? Right?
Yeah.
Well, what can you do at 100 that you can't do at 60, 50, 40, 30? I mean, like, what's the reason? If you don't have a reason, you're not going to have the passion to get up and do this. And I'm talking about success and money and business, which then, of course, the money issue goes away if you're doing tons of business. Then you got to work on other things. But I'm just talking about what's the real reason you want to have success if it's with money or business or whatever it is. That's the real question you need to ask yourself, and that's the exercise, or that's why you would hire a coach or you would hire you to help you with that. Like, hire Nancy to go, what is my real reason I even exist, and where do I want to be in 12 months, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? That's the exercise you need to do and have somebody help you with and then hold you accountable to.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. You just nailed it there, Scott. Because, yeah, oftentimes, like you said, what's the difference? You ask the guy, what's the difference between 100,000 and 90,000, or whatever the two numbers were there, something between 90 and 100, right? And the reality is that if you're focusing strictly on the number and not how that translates into your life and your lifestyle, it's like meaningless. It's like, how many trillions of dollars are we in debt? It's so big we can't even comprehend it.
Yeah.
But if we can take that and translate that into, well, it means that this is my lifestyle and this is how I'm spending my time, and this is, and you can actually boil it down so that it's personal for you. Yeah. Then it makes sense. Yep.
Yeah.
Then it's easier to understand. And the cool part about that too is that sometimes when you do it that way, when you correspond it to, how you want to be spending your time and money and energy, and you might find out that you're a whole lot closer to your goal than you thought.
Exactly. That's what
like you might be 2 loans away from that.
Most people are only a couple loans a month away from what they're trying. Like, it's funny when you truly break that down, how close they are. They don't realize it. When you really, really go deep and you you really have a deep, deep, deep conversation about what they really want and why they want to get there and why. I love asking the question of why. Why do you want to go from 4 to 8? Why do you want to go from 8 to 15? Why do you want to recruit your more realtors? Why? What's the real reason? Is it significance so you can help other people, or is it money? If it's money, it's probably better to just do it yourself do it yourself, because helping other people, they're going to take a piece too. So like, I don't know, I could go into a whole, this is what I do all day, every day, is work with people on, what is the true why of what they do and why are they trying to get there, and what gets them up in the morning, what keeps them up late at night. And that's the fun part about doing what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the money coaching process moves people out of that fight or flight survival mode. Okay? Because when you're in that survival mode, your creativity and your growth is absolutely stifled. Not to mention you're distracted most of the time. You're not really focused on what's important to you. It moves them beyond the money taboo, normalizes the money conversation so that they know that they can talk about whatever it is that they need to talk about in terms of money. It creates an understanding and awareness of their own unconscious money blocks and saboteurs that we tend to have. Most of us have them, again, just whether or not they're active or sitting on the sidelines at the moment. Creates the conditions for relearning and positive repatterning. And that's, you talked about, being worthy. And learning that you are worthy is a relearning process, right? And really having that experience.
Yep.
And then also, of course, provides ongoing coaching and mentoring throughout the change process, because change is not easy. You're gonna make progress and you're gonna slip back. And it's all about, like you said, having that accountability partner to make sure that you are fully committed to the outcomes that you say you want.
One of the challenges we see is when you start to make changes in your business, your life, your family, whatever. I'm speaking specifically from business. Is we typically, when you go to make changes to grow, you have to let go of something. Something has to give. So what we do is we always say you're going to have a little fish hook. If you think of a fish hook, you got the top and it swings down to the bottom and then it comes back up. So you're going to have a little bit of a fish hook, which means you're going to drop a little bit in business because your focus changes. When your focus changes, you either say, if you say yes to this, what are you saying no to? So you're saying yes to sales, you're saying yes to growing or hiring an assistant or hiring somebody to do the detailed task, but then somebody has to train them. So if you say yes to training, you're saying no to sales. So it's always better to plug into somebody, make a little less at first, get your business built up to where you have growth, but you maybe not make it as much, but now you have growth, which means you have more money, which means now you have the money to go do your own thing and maybe remove yourself even more and more and more from the equation so that your business is growing without you. And we've accomplished that. And all right, so we want to finish this up here with the last, you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, so some of you may already know that this is exactly what you're searching for, because I know that was the case for me when I first discovered money coaching many years ago. And one of the great things about money coaching is that you continue to reap the rewards for the rest of your life, long after the actual financial investment of coaching, because that self-awareness and the personal mastery that you gain is going to continue to support your growth and success.
Yes.
So I offer, having said that, my coaching programs are available both on private sessions, semi-private sessions, and group sessions. And they range in price from regular price from $747 down to $297. Now, Scott, for your listeners, for your Agent Mastermind folks, they will all save $75 no matter which program that they choose. And, of course, tuition can be paid either via credit card or PayPal.
Sure. Cool.
And in just a few minutes, I'm also going to tell you how everyone can get a complimentary coaching session and maybe even win a copy of my book. But more on that in a bit, because first I did promise them some strategies on dealing with fluctuating income. This is from my book, which is the next slide, 21 Money Habits That Can Stabilize Your Business and Keep You Sane. Now, I wrote this book because, well, it's not so much of a secret, but obviously when you're working straight commission, your income is going to fluctuate. Sometimes a little bit, sometimes a lot. As we said earlier, maybe you'll even go a month or two with no income at all. And, we all know what that does to our sanity. It stretches it. So it's interesting, just a little background on why I wrote this book. I was already planning on writing it, first of all, and I got a huge confirmation from the universe that this was what people needed to know, because I was attending a training in California when my mentor, in a really revealing moment on stage, admitted to the group of us that during the year that his business was growing from 350,000 to over 700,000, he was lying in bed at night worrying about how he was going to pay his mortgage and how he was going to pay his team.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's because he lacked the skills that are necessary to manage his new income and increasing expenses, because you're going to have more expenses when your income is going up like that. So that too is part of the practical money coaching skills that I teach. So let's go ahead and look at I'm just picking out 3 from the 21. So habit number 1, and there's a reason this is the first habit. It is make your savings a priority. And you do this by moving 5% of every commission check into your sanity fund. Do it every single check, okay? Because when you do it consistently, now you've got a safety net to draw from when you have a down month. Okay, it's like building a savings muscle there. I sort of, you can liken it to an escrow fund that's set up, when you close on a deal, close on a sale. They're setting up escrow accounts so that the taxes and insurance get paid. Well, essentially you're doing the same thing, so that you have that reserve when it comes time, when you do have a slower month and you need to pull some money from somewhere.
Here's the best part about this one right here is, if you set this up automatically and you just it's going to be hard at first. Trust me, it'll be hard. We used to do it out of net. Now we do it out of gross, and it's a little bit harder. But once you start doing it, it's like you never had it to begin with. So you are right now living on whatever you have. If you don't have it, you don't live on it. So it starts, and the crazier part is as it starts to build and you see it, it's like the feeling is unbelievable. So
yeah, when you learn that you can actually save money if you haven't been able to do it in the past.
In a huge way.
Yep.
All right.
So next slide. So this is actually habit number 5, and this is go cold turkey on credit 1 week each month. Studies show that you'll actually save or spend 20 to 30% less if you use cash instead of plastic. So I'm talking about the green stuff here. I'm not talking about using your debit card. I'm talking about carry around the green stuff in your wallet. Look ahead, plan in advance, and kind of look at what's coming down the pike for the week. Give yourself an allowance, and then stick with it. And there's no other way for you that will get your attention more about, gee, do I really want or need this item that I'm about to purchase or not?
Right.
I mean, even back in the day, I think people were much more conscious of what was going on with their money back when, before the days of debit cards, and we literally, wrote checks. Some of the listeners might not even remember this, but, we actually had a checkbook register. And so if you maintained it, you could see, okay, I just wrote a check for X amount, now my balance is down to this. And you would see it every single time. In this day and age, we're oftentimes disconnected with what's really going on in our bank accounts.
There you go.
Yeah. So now this one, you could, the bet, if you're actually paying attention here too and realizing, okay, I didn't spend X amount on something, add that amount to your sanity fund. That's like a bonus way to boost your sanity fund. Or do the same thing, but do it, every other week or twice a month, and you'll save even more money.
Love it.
Habit 14, base this month's spending on last month's income. This is guaranteed to keep you out of debt, right? If you never spend more this month than you earned last month, it's impossible for you to go into debt or grow your debt. Okay?
Love it.
One of my money mentors loves to use a phrase, if you're in a financial hole, stop digging, right?
I love it. All right, good point.
So next slide, this is how you can all get your complimentary session. So first things first, I've got a special page on my website, so embracingmoney.com/AMM for Agent Mastermind. take the money style quiz, and then schedule your consultation on my calendar. It's all automatic. You'll get your quiz results instantly, and then I'll get a message that you've taken your quiz, and you'll have the ability to go ahead and schedule your consultation on my calendar at a time that's convenient for you.
Love it. Thank you.
So also, oh, you're very welcome. You're quite welcome. 21 lucky quiz takers are also going to be entered in a drawing to get a free copy of my book, 21 Money Habits That Can Stabilize Your Business and Keep You Sane. So winners will be actually drawn on Saturday, this Saturday the 26th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Of course, you can buy my book as well, and there's also a link on that page along with a code so that they can save $2. It's my book is just $10, so they can save $2 if they use that discount code on that embracingmoney.com/AMM page.
Perfect. All right.
So the only other question is, what are you waiting for?
There you go.
And if you're like me and you know right away that this is something that you've been looking for, perhaps for a long time, or maybe you just realized it now, I did set up a URL here. You can go to tinyurl.com/moneycoachnow and go ahead and apply for coaching, and we'll talk for about 30 minutes, and we'll decide if the program is a good fit for you, and if so, what's the best format for you.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. So I appreciate you guys joining us today. Go to tinyurl.com. I'm going to back up just one slide here. For those people listening on audio, if you go to embracingmoney.com/AMM, it'll let you take the money style quiz, schedule your consultation on her calendar, and then also you'll be entered to win one of 21 lucky quiz takers to get the free book. Again, it's embracingmoney.com/AMM. Of course, if you missed any of this or you're on audio and you want the link, just get with your loan professional to get a copy of the recording. And then, of course, if you want to talk about which program is best for you as far as get some coaching, go to tinyurl.com/moneycoachnow. All right? Excellent. Thank you so much for being here. Awesome. Congratulations on the book again. It's exciting and always nice to have you on class. It makes me
so much, Scott.
Yeah, you bet. So, guys, thanks so much for joining us here on Agent Mastermind. Same time, same place. Next week is going to be the day after the long weekend, which I'm really excited about. Hope you guys get some time with your family, friends, coworkers, whatever you're doing. I hope you're having fun. Be safe. And if you're not part of our private Facebook group, it's facebook.com/groups/Agent Mastermind. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you on the web. Take care, everybody.